So the New York media scene was this incredibly glamorous, incredibly wealthy, shiny thing. And we're talking bright lights, big city, the heyday of Vanity Fair, constant lunching. You know, it really was the stereotype that you might think of from afar. And I caught the tail end of that when I moved here in the early 90s. And I got to see it all sort of fall apart.
There's been a huge loss of jobs and security, and that's now normal. A lot of the resistance within old style print newsrooms has by necessity just been overcome.
You have a confluence of this sort of international community where you have investors, you have technologists, you have journalists, you have content creators, and you have them all in a really tiny geographic concentration, and these people working in different and new ways.
You don't have to go to a gatekeeper and submit thousands of stories to publish in a magazine. You really can actually have your own publication or write with your friends.
Longshot Magazine is an experiment that we do to make a magazine in 48 hours.
You have people talking about old media and new media, and a lot of the new media is only online. And what we're looking at is how can you take the best of the legacy, the best of what's new, and make something at the junction of those that's even more innovative.
We've attracted a lot of kind of media experimenters, and we all also try and do work on other those projects.
Almost all of the tools that we use to create this magazine didn't exist 5 years ago. So what we do is we take submissions from around the world that are submitted in the course of 24 hours, and then we edit together a magazine.
Yeah, the three of us were in San Francisco, and we had a copy of a magazine that had been produced by MagCloud, and it was a bunch of aggregated photos from the dust storm in Australia, and it had been done print on demand, and we were kind of interested in that, so we essentially asked ourselves, you know, what could we do using this super low overhead approach.
Sadly, not even the largest magazines in the world know what the future of magazines is going to be. And so people like myself who are early, mid part of their career, there's a real hunger to go out there and experiment and do something new, do something different, and just try and figure out these things on our own, because clearly, you know, if we don't figure some things out, we're not going to be having much of a paycheck.
So it's Friday night. We kicked off this theme about 6 hours ago. We're at Gawker in Manhattan. We've got about 30 people. There's all the people working on the magazine, doing print design, working on those things. We've got the website, all the people building the website, which they're doing fresh for this issue. And then we've got Longshot Radio. I think the mood is buoyant at this point. I mean, people are starting to go through like the early submissions, putting energy in their reserve backpack for tomorrow.
After submissions close at 3 p.m. on Saturday, things start getting really hectic, because that's the point where we really have to start editing things, we have to start working with art.
I like this story.
It's 7 pages long.
Well, we needed someone who's like a features, someone who's used to editing a feature to actually do like a normal feature edit on it.
But the Corey is almost done with,
yeah.
I've read a couple hundred, and it was pretty amazing, actually. It's a funny editing process when you don't communicate with the writer. So I'm trying to very gracefully not molest anyone's copy.
And we start, at that point, building a map of the magazine.
We got, so about 700 full-length submissions and 600 like mini submissions coming in via the challenges.
And we got a lot of long form this time. I feel like we got a lot of people who wrote like substantial pieces.
The weird thing about independent Mad Magazine is that, you know, there's no way to really reduce the cost. Like if you print 10,000 issues, they cost the same as if you print 1,000 issues or 500 issues or one issue. So we have to limit it. We can't just publish everything.
I really do wish at the faster times that we had more money to go towards reporting. That's the reality, that people are happy to share their opinion on this or that topic for relatively little money, but they're not really happy to work the phones all day and go through 3 rounds of edits to make sure that it's fact-checked properly.
All of media has changed so quickly, it's flattened so quickly that I wonder, like, if you're dialing between the value of speed versus accuracy in content, like where, does it fall on 5 in the middle of a dial, or does it go all the way up to 11?
Fact-checking is going on like right now.
A lot of us here have been or are professional fact-checkers, and the way that we go about fact-checking at Longshot is not traditional. It takes 3 weeks to fact-check a large feature, and here we're doing it in a matter of hours. Unfortunately, I think a lot of us would like to do a lot more fact-checking, but there's not time. It's a Google search, that's really the best we can do.
It was a very quick and dirty way of doing it.
It's not like we don't have the facts. There are a lot of legitimate publications that don't fact check at all, including newspapers, so the fact that we're doing it all is almost like a bonus.
We feel confident the magazine is going to go out, which we always kind of forget, but like that's the first thing, right? Like there's always a possibility this isn't going to work.
I do go back to 2008 and 2009, and it really was a dark time here in New York. Even though we didn't have the horrific real estate crash that the rest of the country had, people shed employees willy-nilly. It was a slaughterhouse.
There are a lot of independent news organizations propping up, most of which tend to be digital only. They're freed of a lot of the encumbrances that really are kind of holding down traditional media companies. They don't have a big printing plant. They didn't take on a lot of debt like a lot of newspaper companies did 5 or 6 years ago in order to do a deal.
The cost of entry 10 years ago was so exponentially higher than it is now. Some guy going out and saying, I got laid off so I want to start a WordPress blog, right? That may be the lowest common denominator answer. But that guy is important. That guy was me, and that guy is you, right? These tools were not available to you 5, 10 years ago, right? All of a sudden, you can start a magazine and roll it out in 48 hours.
By Saturday night, things kind of started to get contentious between Sarah, Alexis, and myself.
Why don't we decide a max page limit right now? You want like 64, 68?
Because it's like, how much would 68 be?
It's 15 cents a page plus a buck for the perfect binding, plus a markup.
We want to keep the magazine at about 60 pages max, because after that it gets too expensive.
What if we went 15 for the magazine?
What?
This is a niche thing with an audience that is like really interested. So it's like,
what you say?
You're gonna buy 15.
Well,
is that sort of true? Like the first one?
That's a 90.
The first one was a $10 F, which was a $10 issue. Sold more than 3 times as many copies as the second one.
Also, now everything is going to be online.
Do we think so?
Which is not going to encourage sales.
Well, but actually, I think counterintuitively it will encourage them, because the more things will be viral, more things will be out there. I think our problem is getting people to know that it exists.
So if we were to do a 72-page magazine and add the dollar for the perfect binding, it's $11.80. Oh, with no markup.
I think that's totally
we could set it, so we could set it at 14. Well, we can figure out the markup.
We can figure the markup later, but I say 72 is our max.
I think 72 is a good hard stop.
Yeah. 72 or less.
By Sunday morning, early, like 3 a.m., we're all sleep deprived, and it's really hard to track what's going on. Basically, it would be just sort of trying to hang on at that point.
One thing that's cool is on the roof here at Gawker, they set up some hammocks. So I think people will get a chance to like go knock out for a couple of hours.
The $36,000 magazine glossy page is ridiculous as an advertising tool. It's silly. It doesn't do anything. But something that someone cares enough about to send to their friends is like the best kind of advertisement.
We've been dealing with banner ads for the last 15 years, and banner ads suck. Banner ads are awful. I hate banner ads. There's so many more interesting things we can do with that space. Things we do in terms of transmedia content in that space. Video, text.
We're just figuring out in a whole new way how advertisers are going to work with publications, because the system was pretty broken. Everyone's sort of getting ways to make it work actually for both sides, which is unheard of.
I have to also make sure that all of the Kickstarter folks who donated money to us get all of the stuff that they paid for. So, you know, there are levels of Kickstarter donations.
Like at the $1 level, you just got access to a PDF of issue 1, which is basically just like a way for people to start a, here's a buck, you know, it's in good faith. And for $1,000 you got an ad page, and then there's all kinds of things in between, including like Wendy McNaughton, who's our illustrator, is like at the $200 level. She's sending them originals that she painted this weekend.
The Kickstarter ones I have are Ongo, Milkshake, Data Pig, Ink, Coffee.
Sunday morning rolls around and it's absolute chaos. People do get really stressed out sometimes, and sometimes there have been not permanent hard feelings, but people get mad at each other sometimes.
You guys gotta just wait.
Yeah, we understand. We'll try to make sure we're in the loop.
You don't worry.
We were told we'd start copy editing at 9 or 10, but now deadline's in what, 4 or 5 hours, and we haven't started yet, so I think things are getting down to the wire.
I can't find the document.
You know what, I'll make a Google Doc.
This is the only copy we have of it.
Okay.
I promise you guys, I know you don't believe me, but you're gonna get to do your job. You just have to wait and see if we're getting closer.
I was making the copy changes, and Alexis has just stepped in because he has things in his head that he wants in the magazine.
This is a tough fucking job. Really appreciate it.
He's taken it upon himself to do all of it. As in give it, just give it to Alexis. I just got sand in my eye. You might not want to film this. Yeah, this is an emotional time for me.
We've got a pretty big pool that we're going to pay people with this time. It'll definitely be over $100 a person, which is great. Because like our first issue, which we sold a lot of and made more money on, we were only able, even with that, we were only able to pay people like $9 per person, which is, I mean, like we've always said, like if you're doing this to get paid, don't do it, you know, because it's not for money. Sarah and Alexis and I, like we lose like quite a bit of money every issue.
Most of these hyper-local sites, especially the independent ones, are really more labor of love. Very few of them are turning much of a profit.
Some things aren't inherently monetizable. That's just fine. We shouldn't approach every piece of media or art or human action. If we approach them as commercial endeavors, then we'll fail because our thinking will be limited to what we can monetize. I'm not interested in things that can be monetized. I'm interested in things that are beneficial to humans and beneficial to my neighbors.
Oh my god. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing.
I feel really good. Like that website is a thing of beauty. We're calling it nag wall, which lets you share, pay, or dismiss to get the content. It's just, I mean, it was really, really hard for people to do and like pull it off.
Oh my god.
There's the nag, which you can tweet, Facebook, +1, email, pay $1, $5, $20, or just pay nothing. If they want to pay, they can pay.
I'm not unaware of the cuts, the lack of jobs, feeling that sort of journalists feel de-skilled, but you can't knock startups who are coming into this with a view of how journalism can be done differently. Without them, I think you would see an ossified model that had absolutely no future.
Oh my god! Really?
Look, we have 2 issues!
Oh.
Yeah!
Amazing. I mean, why don't we just fucking tweet that now?
Yeah.
Right? There it is. Do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Doesn't anybody have a bullhorn? I mean, we can go in the room.
I have one of those.
I feel like maybe to the experiment. If we weren't doing it, nothing would go wrong. You know what I'm saying?
In the short time I was here, I can say I've never seen anything like this. There were a lot of brilliant, creative people here who did a really good job, and I think it was a worthwhile and successful experiment, even if there wasn't a jubilant ending at exactly 3 p.m.
It's exciting, and I want to do more of it more often. It made me realize, going to the desk job every day isn't enough. This is what makes people work in media. This is what gets people going.
Most people's day jobs suck, even if they're in an awesome media company, even if they're doing exactly what they thought they wanted to be doing. Times are hard, and those like Truman Capote go report in the field for 6-month kind of jobs are not around. And so I think we need to find new ways of making this business exciting for us and telling the kind of stories that we love to read and hear and see ourselves.
I don't know if Longshot is the answer from a financial perspective, but I think it definitely has a momentum where, if nothing else, it's an opportunity. People who are involved here, I can see it as an opportunity to do good work.
I think it's a way to prove that you can make something really good and really cool in a short amount of time if you're willing to work hard and hustle and just go at it. Magazine publishing or any kind of publishing isn't limited to these people in high-rises in downtown New York. It's something that anyone can do.
It's going to be riveting when you get back to Australia and you have 48 hours of footage. And it's all people sitting. People saying things like, go back to page 19, I think there should be a comma.